All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode with the Soul Sartorialist. Today on this podcast, I have a gentleman that I have the utmost respect for. He adds so much value to menswear, to masculinity, to the culture. And it's just such a pleasure to talk with a man who I deeply revere and have followed for many years. I really want you guys to get to know him. He is a creator. He's over in Texas at the Man's Shop. He also has a wonderful Instagram, I think over 88,000, 86,000,
89.
89, getting close to 90,000. Gentleman's Avenue. Everybody welcome in literally one of the foremost thinkers in the menswear space, Mr. Austin Roberson. Did I say that correctly, brother?
So you're close. It's Roberson. So it's like Robertson, no T.
Roberson. Okay. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well. It's the end of a really busy day. We had some really good sales, and Buddy and I were watching the Broncos Bills game. So we're just hanging out and love what I do. But sometimes you get to the end of the day and you're just drained.
For sure. And again, I'm even more thankful for you coming on and just talking with us and communicating with us. Me too. We're dudes. We're watching football on a Saturday. Same here. Exactly. It's going to be interesting. While we're recording this, I think maybe Buffalo might come back. They got enough time. They could maybe get a field goal. What's the score look like?
It still looks like they're up, and there was a really good catch on the sidelines. It's like Brandon Cooks caught one. So I don't know. We'll see.
He's been burning people up. Last week, he had some big plays. A lot of people probably thought that he kind of was, washed, but no, he's shown a lot of value over the last couple of weeks. Yep. But yeah, man, just to kind of, for my audience to get to know you, the reason why we call it the Soul Sartorialist, obviously clothing is important and the way we comport and handle ourselves. But I think what you stand for as a man and your ethos is extremely important. I think one of your sayings is dress with excellence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Phenomenal. So for my audience who do not know you personally, kind of tell us a little bit about your background and who you are, and so they can kind of get to know you as a person. I like your watch too, man. I like that shape. That's a really cool shape.
Very nice. Which one are you wearing today?
I'm a Seiko guy, man. I got a Seiko.
Oh yeah, I knew that we'd get along.
Yeah.
This was a Seiko tank too. What's funny is I actually just did a video on this. I haven't posted it yet, but the one that I get the most comments on is probably because I wear it the most. The Seiko take for anyone who's watching. It's this guy
for sure.
Right here. But it's a 962639. But beautiful. I picked these up on like eBay for like $20 and you get a new band and you're set and good to go.
They're gorgeous, man. Seiko. I want to get to the point where we can get to the grand Seiko part of the world, but we'll we'll all get there, man. I probably could get one, but I'm trying to be responsible as well.
Yep.
As we grow, but man, kind of give us a little bit of your background. Because I'm an image consultant, you're a menswear expert, and you've been doing it for a long time. Kind of give my audience a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah. I grew up in small town Texas, a small city called Hico, Texas. There were about 1,300 people there. That's probably closer to 2,000 now, but very small. And then we moved to Dublin, Texas, which was actually the originator of Dr. Pepper. No longer. You have to call it Dublin Original. So a little fun fact about the city. That was about 3,000 people. Then I moved to Stephenville, Texas. So always kind of lived in small, rural, kind of farm town type of dairyland type of place. And I really had this affinity for men's clothing really come to fruition, man, I'd say 8th grade to freshman year of high school. I was actually bullied in the church that I had grown up in. And I felt awful about myself, no self-confidence, hated everything about who I was and, believing these lies. So I heard the term dress for success. When you look good, you feel good. So I figured I've got nothing left to lose. Let's give this a shot. So
for sure.
I started dressing intentionally. That's what I call it. I don't really like the term dressing up, honestly, but I use the term dressing intentionally. And it was like the church. I would wear, a darker pair of jeans or a collared shirt or throw a tie on. And then I started to expand and watch old videos and read books. And of course, Alan Flusser, really anything with Fred Astaire, movies like that. So, and I realized that this was, my calling. This is what I was supposed to do. And I was made for, and I was cut out to be. And I I realized that this was where the Lord was taking me to go. And I never understood, getting into the menswear industry. And I thought, well, to be a good Christian, what you need to do is you need to go to a jungle somewhere, or you need to be poor and go to China. You need to do something. None of it can be fun. None of it can be in line with your passion. But it's for the glory of the Lord. And sometimes you do things that are very difficult, but it's for his glory, not ours.
For sure.
So for me, I felt like this was my calling, and I didn't understand why. I was actually at this boys camp I was a counselor at, and I was a camp counselor at. And as I'm sitting down, going through my quiet time, I'm wrestling with this calling, because I was about to graduate college and needed to figure out, what I wanted to do when I grew up. And,
For sure.
You would hit that time where you're like, man, I'm growing up now. So I'm just sitting there kind of complaining to the Lord and saying, this is not mean anything. You're not, I don't know. This just doesn't make sense. So I'm sitting there complaining and telling him why he's wrong. And I just said, I'll give up all my clothes. I won't even sell them, because as a Christian, you're not supposed to make profit. So like, let's not do that. So this is just what I need to do something else, not menswear. And then he just let me complain. And then he gets to the very end and he goes, Austin, what do you think I can't do?
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, like, oh, I'm looking at the face of the creator of everything. And I realized that I had been telling him why he was wrong. So I had my Job 38 moment.
Yeah.
And he said, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm the one who spoke light into being, shaped the earth and the planets and everything. And I made you from dirt, breathed life into you. And I'm the one who made the blind see, the deaf hear, the mute speak, and the lame walk. And I died for your sins and rose again so I can have a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
I've used tax collectors. I've used people who are sexually immoral. I've used politicians. I've used murderers. I've used the dregs of society. I've used unpopular people. So tell me, and I was 19 at the point, and he goes, tell me why I can't use a 19-year-old in the menswear industry. And I went, I don't even need to answer. So that's when I really felt the calling. Now, I'm not saying I am a Bible, thumper. When people come in like, hey, welcome to the man shop. How can I save your soul today? That's not what I do. But in this industry, it's very relationship based. And there's been times I've shared my faith. And sometimes,
sure.
I mean, for example, there was a guy who came in earlier this week. He was going down south somewhere, and I thought he was going to a rodeo. And I go, oh, so you going to a rodeo? And he goes, no, I'm going to, and he names the hospital that he's going to. Well, this hospital does cancer research, and you would only go there if you had it. And my heart sank. And I'd only dealt with this guy like 2 or 3 times. And it made me realize that, you're a part of people's lives in the highs and the lows.
For sure.
And so in that moment I said, hey, listen, I'm really sorry, but I'm praying for you. And he goes, thank you. It wasn't any deeper than that. I didn't, start, praying or speaking in tongues or anything, but it was something that I just,
it was on your heart.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always been more than clothes. And,
for sure.
That's where this passion has come from. Like I want to share my passion and why clothing is a tool of communication, and you can use it to your advantage. Now, again, it doesn't mean that you need to wear tailored pieces all the time, but I mean, you look great in tailored clothing, but learning to dress with excellence is, what I always say. And I try to say in every one of my videos, but it's about dressing intentionally and using the clothes to speak well of you before words even leave your mouth.
Exactly.
But you can still do that wearing, jeans and a t-shirt. You can still doing that wearing gym clothes, wearing it in the proper places, and acting and dressing responsibly, if you will.
And Austin, that's what I really love about you. You have such a well-balanced mentality. I also grew up very Christian as well. I'm from the Northeast originally, and grew up in a church culture, very conservative church culture. But the greatest influence on my life was my grandmother. She was the most elegant woman you've ever met. She wore dresses that were just impeccable. Even when she passed from cancer, by the way, which is interesting. We talk about cancer. And so her closet was such a closet where she literally could have had a luxury boutique. She had Diane von Furstenberg and all these different things. She was a woman of pure elegance. And so one thing that she instilled for me, because I didn't grow up in rural America, I grew up in the inner city. I eventually moved to rural America, which was really fun, going from the inner city to rural America. But she taught me, you represent your family, you represent yourself, and there's a standard that you need to have. I think this was an old Southern mentality that she had when you're representing your family, how you represent yourself when you leave that house. And so I love your thought process with that. You are representative of your family, your community, and even your faith. And I love that mentality that you have. But I also love, because in menswear, what can happen is you have these people where if it's not tailored clothing, then it's not, it's either
Then
that or
it's not
nothing else.
valid.
It's not valid. And I love that you have that, because for me, even as an image consultant, we struggle sometimes because we want to dress up in suits and three-piece and we add the thing. But sometimes in the world that we live in, there's ways to be refined without necessarily having like you said, a suit or tie. There's so many different ways that you can elevate clothing. As you see with this generation of young people, there's ways that you can elevate it without necessarily having to wear a three-piece suit, So love that mentality, man. And as well, and another thing that I connect with you as well, and I want these young guys, because this page and this YouTube is really designed for young men who are coming into themselves as men, is that when you're younger, you may not necessarily, you have an idea of what you want to do, but sometimes the vision needs that prayer, that extra belief, that extra motivation. Because same thing like you, Austin, when I was right around 18, 19, I was obsessed with menswear. Again, up here, I have Alan Flusser. I have both of his books. I have Hugo Giacomet. We talked about him, and these men who are keeping the sartorial, just the heritage alive. And so when you talk about that, same here, I was in the same situation. I was working as a young man in like a convenience store, and I always wanted to get into menswear. And I was like, man, because it's always, how do you do it? You see the people doing it. You see it on TV. You see the GQ magazines. You see all these things, but how do you do it? Same thing. I said the same prayer. And literally one of the folks that came into the convenience store that I worked in when I was was 18, 19 as well, came in. I said, one day I told him, I said, his name was Jerry, really smooth guy. And at that time, I think it was in his 50s or in his 50s. I said, one day I'm going to work with you, Jerry. And literally 6 months later, experience in menswear industry was at Nordstrom in the menswear department. In the menswear department. And I worked with Jerry. And I said, Jerry, do you remember me? And he was like, CVS. I'm like, yeah. And we talked and we connected. And it was my foray. So how God works things out is so beautiful. Literally the person I spoke with, 6 months later, we were there. So love that story, man. And for young men in the same place, you may be graduating high school. You may be trying to figure out what your next step is in life. And you may say to yourself, what is it? How do I get there? I know that I kind of want to do this. Well, with me and Austin are perfect examples of it. Say a prayer, talk to God about it. And the beautiful things that he's able to sort it out for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Now, a couple of things I want to go over with you. I'm pulling up my little iPad over here. Just so many wonderful things that we can talk about. And because we're both clothing nerds. We're to a degree, but kind of what influenced your style early on? I think me and you off camera talked about back in the day as young guys. We remember GQ of the early 2000s. We're talking about I would say GQ maybe around 2006, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 3, early 2010s. To us, and I can think you can agree to this. It was like one of those things where you had to have the subscription. It was one of those things where you would look forward to the cover. But what you said, Fred Astaire, you talked about Alan Flusser, which I think is a great foundational piece for most of us in menswear. But kind of explore that a little bit, where you developed your early sense of style and fashion.
So how I got my feet into the, to the door of menswear and clothing. There was a local JCPenney that I started working at, and I was had a great employee discount, and so I would buy Stafford when I could, and J. Ferrara, and I thought J. Ferrara was great. And then looking back on it, I mean, it's all plastic and all fused,
Of
but
course.
it gave me a start. So a lot of it was just a lot of trial and error, things I would see on Instagram, things I would watch on YouTube. I would watch different YouTubers, and then I would read, like the GQ and the Esquire. And then I remember there was this one where Denzel Washington, he was wearing this beautiful double-breasted, I think it was Maybe it was a 4-on-1. It was a lower buttoning stance, double breasted.
I know exactly. I have the photo somewhere in my. Yeah. Go ahead.
Beautifully cut coat. And I'm looking at that, and I think the suit was like $4,000 at the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 4,000 doesn't like mean anything. And now I'm at the place where I wouldn't say I average suits at $4,000, but $4,000, selling a $4,000 suit, I can understand why now. And so a lot of it was trial and error, just different things I picked up and what I read. But because I was the only person in my area doing that, I don't mean to sound like overly confident or something like that, but I was becoming my own inspiration, not really my own muse, but just like, what do I really want to wear, and wear the weird thing, do the
Your
weird
own
thing.
canvas.
Yeah, exactly. So there was actually one time I went to Walmart to get some stuff, and I picked up this wool and silk double-breasted jacket from Suit Supply off of eBay. So I was wearing that.
Oh yeah.
Orange chinos, like traffic cone orange.
Yeah. Okay.
Brown horsebit loafer.
Okay.
Shoes with the like light blue shirt, and then like a navy knit tie. So very wear, like early mid 2010s. Not with monk straps. It was the look. Well, that with the monk straps, and then the bracelets, and then all the details.
Oh my God, the monk strap era.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I actually don't even wear monks. It's a beautiful shoe.
Yeah.
Only a single monk I'll wear. A double monk I won't wear, because I can't not think of #menswear and Suit Supply. It killed it for me. I will never wear a double monk shoe.
Were you on Style Forum? Were you on Style Forum too back in the day, bro?
No, like when I started getting into it, that's when like everybody was kind of migrating from Style Forum to like Instagram and YouTube, and that's where it kind of died. So every now and then I would like look up different articles and stuff like that, and people talk about like, man, Style Forum was so great, and I'm like, I missed it. I was in that kind of transition.
Yeah, that 2011, 12, 13, right when Instagram became a thing. Yeah.
Another person who was a big inspiration to me was Dan Trepanier of Articles of Style. Like I would wait. It was like, I would wait almost by the laptop, every single day. Is there a new, is there something new that dropped? So I would constantly wait for a new article. So
for sure,
again, a lot of trial and error. So anyway, going back to that look, I had gotten off of work, and then I was checking out at the counter, and the lady goes, "So where are you from?" And I go, "I'm from here." And she goes, "No, you're not. Where are you from?" Yeah. And I go, "I'm from here." She goes, "You don't have an accent. You don't dress like anybody around here. So where are you?" I thought you're from New York or something. I'm like, "No, born and raised in this area. I just like this kind of stuff."
Yeah, for sure.
So it kind of became, like I would wear like a lot of weird, funky stuff just because I liked it.
We all did. Yeah. Ben Sherman tie, that Ben Sherman skinny tie.
See, I only hit the skinny tie trend, thank God, for a very small time.
Me too.
I was always trying to find like, the inch wide, because like when I first got in to menswear, it was like the Mad Men. So very 60s, very mod.
Yes.
And then it kind of went, more 1930s, and so I've kind of stuck with that really ever since, the 30s to 50s. So the golden age of
yes.
Taylor. So, but yeah, I was on that for just a hot minute, and it just kind of expounded. Like I wish, when a lot of guys say like, my grandfather was my style icon, my dad was my style icon. My dad could give two craps about clothes. I mean, well, now he's kind of come around a little bit more. He's put more care into it. I mean, he doesn't wear tailored pieces, but he's like, man, I got a new pair of jeans that fit. And he's been, obese the majority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only been recently that he's lost a lot of weight. It's been so much better for his health, his mental health, and everything like that.
Yeah.
But it was something that he never thought he could wear good clothes. And I actually had a chance to cut a suit for him for my a really close family friend. I consider her a sister. She got married, so I made a suit for his wedding, for her wedding. And I got to cut a suit for my dad for that wedding, which was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
So,
heck yeah.
So that's what makes it special. So my dad was not my inspiration, but he's become a good supporter of me over the years.
For sure. I love that. And so interesting how me and you just connect in those ways. My dad is a blue collar guy. I think we talked about this off. He's worked in construction his whole life, but on the opposite side, he is one of the most, I would say, type A people you ever met. Literally all of his shoes have shoe tree. He's from the 1950s, 1960s. He grew up in a different time, starched all of his pants. every shoe is color coordinated, literally from blacks to, it goes from blacks all the way to brown. He has everything's on a tie rack. All of his shirts are color coordinated. I am not that way. I am more Spetruza, like the times kind of, that's just my natural disposition. As I've gotten older, I am definitely more with the I just idealize the 1950s from the simplicity of a white shirt, simple tie, nice silhouette, soft shoulder. That's where I'm at in my 30s at this point. But same thing, like my dad, he inspires me in the sense of his understanding of work ethic, his understanding of how you represent yourself and being clean and well kempt and things of that nature. Cologne collection is ridiculous. The dude literally was like a freaking, Macy's counter or whatever. The dude is literally a store. So that's so interesting, man. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about those eras, man, because obviously for young men, you're in your 30s as well, Austin, I would assume.
Yeah, just turned 31 in December.
God bless, brother. I'll be 36 this year. And so
well, whatever water you're drinking, please send a case down to me, because I feel like I'm aging like milk every other day.
My lower back has a word, sir. Like a word with you, man. And for men, I really want young men to understand that is part of the joy of your late teens, early 20s, is that experimental portion of your life. You're maybe experimenting with jobs. You may be experimenting with looks. We talked about the skinny tie. Literally, bro, I have one skinny tie. I have no other skinny ties, my entire wardrobe. And I literally wore it maybe once in the last 20 years. Okay. So the part of especially when Instagram became a thing, I think Instagram kind of became a cultural force probably right around 2013, 2014. And so, like you said, articles of style. And also I used to do street etiquette. The guys at street etiquette, the two, Joshua Kissy and the other gentleman, they were really influential. And then also remember like the filters. Did you get into the heavy with the filters and stuff like that? Like the,
No, so I didn't start posting on Instagram until probably like late freshman, early sophomore year of college. So that's what I was trying to kind of, get around to it and everything like that. I will say, because you had mentioned Joshua Kissy, I'd first heard from him from Put This On from Jesse Thorne. Do you remember that?
Love Put This On, man.
I love those. And here's another throwback too. Talking about GQ, you remember Adam Rappaport when he would do those quick little videos?
Yes.
Man, I miss those things. Every now and then I'll go back and I'll watch it. Like, some of the style information, you're like, all right, this is kind of cool. And then some of it's like, that's real dated, or that was trendy at the time. But I love those videos.
What about there's another one, there's a Menswear, I follow them on YouTube. They used to have a gentleman's ball. I think they're based in the Midwest. Style Gentleman's Gazette.
Okay. Yeah.
I love
Gentleman's
Gentleman's
Gazette. Only
Gazette.
recently they've been doing the ball. I wanted to go the last year because it just seemed like it would be so fun.
Oh my God, man. And Kirby Ellison and all these guys. I know there's jokes that people have about Kirby Ellison, but he's really into what he's into, and he does so much for just the arbiter of style and things. Who else? Aaron Marino, like Alpha Men, when he first came up back in the day, and to see his growth. YouTube was I think for young men, it was would you say that for you too was a great place to get some of that information when it comes to the early days of menswear?
Yeah, so I first found out, so I saw Aaron first.
Yeah, for sure.
Started watching his stuff, and I was like, I mean, okay, I can learn some basics here. And then I started watching. Did
you do Real Men, Real Style?
Yes, Antonio Centeno, pardon me. And then Antonio did a video talking about Raphael from Gentleman's Gazette.
Yes.
And then I kind of stopped watching the other guys because now I've kind of softened my perspective because I do something similar now, but it just felt like the content wasn't about the subject itself. It was more about like, hey, here's the subject, but really here's the product I'm trying to sell. So it all felt too salesy, and I'm like, I'm kind of down with it. Now being in sales, I understand that like that's a great sales perspective, and they were the kings at the time because nobody else was doing it. And they had the monopoly. It was like, okay, are you camp Aaron or you camp Antonio? But like they're both friends, and so it's like not bad. But then after a while,
it's like with each other back in the day, didn't they?
Do what?
I think they did a little bit of content with each other back in the day, right?
Yeah, and so they did StyleCon, or it was called it was StyleCon, and then it went to Menfluential, and they had a few uh, like conferences out in Atlanta, and I went to 3 of them. And
Really?
yeah, and so I mean, it was enjoyable. The bad part about it is that I wouldn't even say bad. It's just like their content isn't bad. I mean, it's good to a point. I think very kind of like the entry level stuff. And Aaron's gone more talking about you know, white label empire, and he's talking about, you know, business and things like that. When it comes to style, I mean, their style is not amazing, but it's not bad. To me, it's just it's kind of mid. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah, for
did.
sure.
So I'll actually share something really really cool with you. So I've met Antonio Centeno multiple times. Very kind guy. I really like and respect and admire him. Aaron Marino, I also feel the same way about him. So when I was at Influential the first year I went, it was still StyleCon. The last 2 years I went, it was Influential. I pulled him aside and I said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" He's like, "Yeah." So I pulled him aside. I said, "Hey, man, listen. I just want to say I've looked up to you for a long time. Really appreciate you, and I want to let you know that, like, basically I kind of want to grow up to be like you." And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
actually started down, and he started tearing up, and he's like, "Man," he gives me a big hug, and he goes, "Man, you're passionate, and I can see it." And during Influential, like anytime there were speakers, I was asking questions. Almost every single speaker, I was asking like 1 to 2 questions each,
For sure.
and no, like nobody was hating on it. They're like, "This guy's getting his money's worth. Like
Yeah, for
he
sure.
wants to know. He's hungry." And I'll
Yes.
never forget this. Aaron said, "You're gonna do so great," and he goes, You'll overpass me one day. You'll surpass me." And so that's kind of been not as like, it's not something in the back of my mind like, "Oh, I need to be better than you." It's like, you said I could, and you've got like millions of people following and interacting with you. And if you think I can do that, you know, let's
Bro, I
go.
think Michael Jordan. I really want the young audience to understand. In menswear and merino, in the time that he came, we're out the early 20s, mid 20s. He
Yep.
literally, when it comes to image, because we live in a society generally where, yeah,
Yep.
we care about image, but really men caring about their image in late 90s, early 2000s became a thing. And then
Kind
the
of the
whole industry.
metrosexual type of movement.
Exactly, that whole metrosexual movement. And so when Aaron Marino came in, he's relatable, he's funny, he's interesting. He keeps all of his
He
old
brings that
videos up.
energy and that confidence that a lot of guys needed.
We needed it. And then the whole word image consultant. No one literally really talked about that. It was a thing with politicians and athletes in Hollywood in those circles, but it was more in a different class of people. The everyday man did not know what the image consultant was, what they could do for their life. And Aaron, for many of us, is like at the time, is like the Michael Jordan. He made it okay to be on camera and talk about clothing. And so, man, you're really bringing all the good memories back. That's why I'm glad to talk with a guy like yourself.
That's a deep cut right there.
Deep cut, bro. I literally watched
it's a very niche deep cut.
It is. I watch every single book. I watch every single video. I even bought How to Be an Image Consultant on it had a CD-ROM. Guys, if you don't know what a CD-ROM is, we're going to go back into that.
Was that the thing that he was trying to sell on Shark Tank?
I think his own version of it, something to that degree, because I know that him and Aaron Marino inspired even Kevin Samuels. I know he's like an image consulting guy. He's passed away recently, but he inspired in the African American community. Aaron Marino had created such a he touched all communities, and I think he just such a such literally for him to say that to you, bro. I would have like. Bro, can you sign my tie?
Do something. Sign my forehead. I don't care.
For sure, man. So fascinating, man. And then also I want to get into Alan Flusser because again, I want this podcast is really is structured for young men trying to figure out the foundational part of their wardrobe. There's so many. Sometimes when you look at menswear, a lot of men are like, how do I get to that custom $3,000 piece or that suit? No, sometimes you got to start at the foundation. And Alan Flusser, his 2 books I have. Here I have the Clothes in the Man
and Style
Dressing the Man. I have it literally right. These are the 2 books right here. Talk about how Alan Flusser, for the generation who's in front of us, because we're in our 30s, there's generations who are 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, don't even have an idea of Alan Flusser. Talk about where he is in terms of how he influences and how valuable he is to the menswear space.
So Dressing the Man is known as the Bible when it comes to men's clothing, men's style. And it takes these core principles talking about learning high, medium, and low contrast, learning style details, how people wore things, the history of items, how they go together. Now, keep in mind, you have to take it with a grain of salt because it was written, I think it was
80s.
published in 80, I think 89. And this is a books that, I mean, you look at the pictures and you can see it's like, okay, like it's a little more dated. Maybe like the shoulders were a little wider and, you know, a little fullness in the chest or lower gorge, whatever that is. But you could still take a lot of that stuff today, if not really all of it, and it still has its place. It still makes sense. But it's talking about the core principles on how to dress. So Jonathan Sigmund, who bought Alan Flusser, like the name that's like licensed now, because Alan Flusser really isn't even part of the business anymore.
Sure.
But Jonathan Sigmund, he's kind of taken it in a slightly different direction that makes sense for the modern consumer. So it's kind of changed. So if you look at Alan Flusser now, it's not like, oh, it's crappy. No, it's just developed because you can't sell that same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense for everybody. So it's the Bible. I mean, read it and then understand the filter of talking about, you know, if you're tall and broad like I am. I'm 6'1". I really wear about a size 45 long, extra long to a 46, broad shoulders. And even if I lost weight, I still have broad shoulders and a strong hip. So understanding like the power of thirds, the rule of thirds, understanding, you know, what looks good on you, button position, you know, these different things are like key principles. So when you go look for a made to measure LTA, if you go want to buy something thrift or secondhand or a hand-me-down or whatever, there is no shame in that. I mean, that's what I did for a lot of my clothes.
For sure.
And, you know, I get them tailored properly. So the main thing to start off with is understanding that it's a journey, not a race. And there's never really an arrival. It's just you're constantly developing
And refining. And just like
Yep.
you, man, I literally started with I had a gray Stafford suit, just like, you know, so when you mentioned Stafford, I was like, that's a
Stafford
deep.
always has a soft place in my heart. Not Jay Farrar, but Stafford specifically.
Oh, for sure. The smell, I still smell the Stafford suit. You know what I mean? Like that Stafford smell. Like I still.
Well, JCPenney just had a smell.
Yeah. I remember the smell. And so, yeah, man, because where me and you are in life, I can afford $1,000 suit, no problem. But a lot of young guys, when you're starting your style, don't feel like it is a wide world of style, man. Sometimes
you
you
don't even know what you like at that point. So if you invest thousands of dollars into a custom or even bespoke, you may not get exactly what you want because there's multiple different iterations of a suit. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're right. No, I agree with you. No, you're 100% correct. Sometimes you start with your made to measure, then you work your way up to some light custom, then you can do some bespoke in due time. Don't feel that because a lot of times you see all these beautiful looks and you're like, man, I want to get to that level. Sometimes you look at that's what I used to appreciate about some of these magazines where they had the high version of it, they had the low version of it. They'll show you 3 different t-shirts and things of that nature. Phenomenal stuff, man. So let's kind of go. We talked about Alan Flusser and classic menswear. The person that I have the deepest love and appreciation for, and even though we're Americans, we make fun of French people, but Hugo Giacomet. I have his book right here, The Italian Gentleman. Talk about him, man, because what he's doing right now and the quality of his content and the depth that he goes into, even though he's a Frenchman and he's a little bit different culturally. Talk about what is he doing to keep menswear alive? Because I feel honestly, bro, when you think about the 2010s I think there was a lull in menswear, community maybe for a couple of years. Do you feel that? Did you feel that a little bit too? Maybe right around the COVID times, maybe because COVID kind of influenced that a little bit, because I feel like 2010, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah. But then there's maybe a little bit of a lull.
Yeah. I mean, I think just the times where, people wanted to dress properly, but there was no reason to, and it affected people, mentally. And I think with Hugo, he's so passionate about true craftsmanship. And, I actually message Sonia every now and then. She's super sweet. And what was cool is, during COVID, we were actually kind of messaging each other a few times. I'm like, how you guys doing? You all right? And I think they were in Georgia during COVID.
Okay.
And she's like, yeah, we're just hanging out here for now. I'm like, all right. So we got to chit chat a little bit, which is so great. They're such kind, lovely people.
Yes.
What I love about him is that he wants to put people on the map when it comes to true craftsmanship, because craftsmanship is just a whole nother thing. Like, you can say quality is the absolute bottom tier when it comes to craftsmanship. I mean, I'm actually getting a pair of custom boots made by a local boot maker.
Yes.
I started the process the day after Christmas, and they're probably not going to be here until August at earliest.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at this guy. I mean, his hands are rougher than the leathers that he sells. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just like, it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
when you are dealing with someone who is a true craftsman
And passionate. Like when you watch those chef shows.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I do with a lot of my garments, and even what I present to my clients, it's any handwork that can be done. I want to do it just for the sake, not of saying like, hey, my suit's handmade. It's knowing that you're instantly adding soul. You're adding something to it, because now, not to the level of just like, oh, look, it's pressatura, the button is okay. It's not the like, to me, I'm going like, yeah, I can't not see that now.
Yeah.
So I'm a little OCD about stuff like that.
Me too.
But,
oh no, for sure.
But there is perfect imperfections of the beauty of seeing the handwork, and sometimes it's super clean. But there's just like, guys, you're gonna have to experience this. If you can pick up a handmade suit off the rack or thrifted or whatever, that's like, go for it. Do everything you can to find something like that. But when you get something made, and what I do for all of my clients is getting something handmade, because it feels like it just relaxes. And there's just something special about knowing that someone sat there and stitched your buttonholes.
And and they put every bit of they take their work seriously.
Yep, exactly. I'm getting a suit made right now from a factory. I think it's the oldest factory in the USA. They've been open since 1899, making me a beautiful royal blue 6-on-1 double-breasted with a Hollywood waistband. And they're doing everything hand tailored. I mean, it's going to be an exquisite piece of art.
Is this a company in Massachusetts?
No, they're in Rochester, New York. It's factory that, it's the factory that makes old Hickey Freeman. Hickey Freeman, like the name is still around, but it's just being licensed to a Canadian.
I know it happened in the early 2000s when they kind of became. They used to make Hickey Freeman made stuff for presidents, right? No, Hart, Schaffner, and Marks made a lot of suits for presidents. Hart, Schaffner, and Marks.
Yeah, because that used to be made in Chicago, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. That, man, I'm excited, bro. And the beautiful thing about having something handcrafted is when it's finally delivered to you, and you put it on, and you look at every little detail, and you're looking at your buttons, and you're looking at the stitching, and you're looking at the contrasting collar, and how it drapes on you, and how it looks, and it just sometimes I'll just even keep like the box that it came in for a couple of days, just because it's like the greatest. Yes. Exactly. And I think the beautiful thing is there's been articles. I was looking at an article recently where it's talking about young men getting back into caring more about their looks, like the New York Times and different things. And that's something that's very encouraging to me, is to see that young men are, because we went through the streetwear phase, which is fine. There's nothing wrong. Again, there's a time, but even the Holy Scriptures say it. There's a time and a place for everything, right?
For everything, absolutely.
And so, but to see men caring, we know there was a quarter zip movement in the African American community, to see young men in the urban inner city where people have these certain perspectives about these young men. And they're saying, hey, we're not going to go with what's popular, or we're not going to go with the crowd. Yeah. We care about ourselves. We care about our health. Just to see young men to defy what people have expectations for them of. It's so inspirational. Want to talk
real quick before you move on. So I actually wanted to comment on the quarter zip movement.
Yeah.
So I participated in it, and I did not drink a matcha because I think matcha tastes like garbage. Yeah. I don't want to eat yard clippings that's steeped. So that's not my thing. But I will say that what I loved about the movement is, regardless of who started it or whatever, like I saw a video of the guy talking about, how he started it. I love that. So I wanted to be, supportive of that, and it wasn't like, these are debates that people can get into. It's like, oh, a white person trying to take something away from a black person. I'm like, this is a man thing, because men are not encouraged to dress up and properly. A lot of men, I truly believe, are vilified, and it's like, don't be masculine, don't do all these things. And that's why I constantly say, dress with excellence, dress with intention, make that effort to dress properly, because people see the difference. And imagine what that did for so many young men who were going, oh, I don't have to wear the hoodies and the graphic tees and like all this stuff all the time just because everybody else is. I wear this piece of clothing that takes the same amount of time to put this on as it does a t-shirt, and I feel completely different. What does that do up here? What is that going to do when he goes to his place of work? How he interacts with his family, friends, loved one, like whatever that may be. What will that do? And that just goes to show that there is still a power to clothing. There's so many people who attempt to rake me over the coals and, online, where they're like, oh, I've never met another dude who's, cared about how, other dudes look.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell people what to wear. I'm like, yeah, like wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
But there's a reason you feel like what you feel. There's a reason people walk through these doors to come and work with me, to work
For
with
sure.
us, because there is in a way that there is a lack, and we are providing a service, not just, hi, welcome in, when can I get your money? It's one thing that we always say. We never say, hi, what are you looking for today? It's, how can I improve your day?
Yeah.
And it's very
I like
disarming to a lot of people, but that's when we're like, how can I improve your day? Man, I need a good classic suit. Good news is you're in the right place for it. Here, let me get you this. And they notice that there's a difference. They're dealing with a professional. So,
sure.
I mean, without getting too far off, but like, there were people who were like, oh, this is a black thing. And I'm going, I can understand why, but going deeper than that, it's a man thing. It's encouraging men to dress up. And if it starts with a quarter zip, wonderful.
Yeah. Now everywhere else, I have this saying that I have, it's called unapologetic competence.
I love that.
And so you have to be, because in the world we live in, where we're standards, whether that's the quality of cars, the quality of furniture, the quality of dishes, the quality of anything that you purchase, the standards just have gone down. I grew up with people who grew up in the 1920s and 30s, and the construction and the quality of garments, the pride in your work, and the way you do your work, your handwriting, the way you tie your shoes, not having wrinkly clothes, all those things. It seems like there's always this internal battle between being comfortable and also being professional. And I think for young men specifically, there is power in being unapologetically competent. If you're doing your homework in school, making sure your spelling is correct, making sure that your shoes are lined up, making sure there's not lint on your shirt when you leave the house, making sure that your hair is gelled correctly, making sure that your car is clean. These small details in your life. And I really want to talk about this. This really bothers me, man, because I get really, I'm trying not to get too fired up, because the state of retail in the world in general, post-COVID, whatever because I started off at Nordstrom's and J. Crew, and I worked for Lucky Brand, and I've done it all. And now I have my own independent consulting company, White and Simmons Advisory, where we do it individually. And we can really get into the nitty gritties. Like, we can say, hey, what sort of sizing do you want your lettering to be? Okay, great. What sort of buttons do you want? What sort of things? Like, we can get into the nitty gritty of details. But I really want to talk about the state of retail, man, because like you talked about, a difference between being a retail worker and a professional, because I remember being a retail worker and not knowing everything, and not knowing about the weight of fabrics, and not knowing about balance and color. These are all things that we learn. Talk about that for young. I really want you to break that down, because I think you are one of the top 5 menswear people that I look at on a regular basis as a professional. I hold you in that type of esteem as a professional, dude. Like, I literally every week I'm like, what is he talking about? What is Austin? Because you are an arbiter of culture, for sure. Talk about that, man. The difference, because I want young men, when you go into a store, I literally want them to do an experiment moving forward. Go into a regular retail store and then going into a men's shop. Talk about that, the quality of experience from a professional menswear person versus just a regular store.
So, I mean, when there's the backing, like corporate backing, and, there's the shareholders, they're wanting to hit X amount of dollars, it all comes down to profit. So that's why you'll spend X amount of dollars on something, and then you get, you're paying for this, but you're getting this. And so there's not a value blending. And so, for example, with us, I mean, we have a pretty tight knit team. We've got 2 salesmen on the floor, 1 hybrid support sales position. So he works on the floor and receiving, and then another lady who works in receiving. 1 tailor on site, and about 3 outside tailors that we work with. And that's about it. And that's pretty lean.
Yeah.
What makes us different is that, so for example, we've been open since 1970, and we've got 3rd and 4th generation clientele. Not a lot of places can say that. I mean, you may have had like a Dillard's guy who had a guy who brought his son in, or maybe the grandpa, or like whatever that is. But that's so rare, especially nowadays. When you're
Yeah.
dealing with a true man's shop, a shop as opposed to a store, you are interacting with somebody who, for example, for me, I'm the buyer for our shop. So this Wednesday, I'm actually going to go and preview stuff for this coming fall. And then a week from today, it's going to be all day Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I'm going to be in just meetings back to back to back to back to back to back to back, seeing the new things that are coming down. So being the buyer and then sharing with my team, hey, this is what we're getting, this is what we're looking for, this is the goal, all stuff like that. It's not necessarily hitting numbers, but it's like, hey, here's how we need to sell through. What product do you need that's going to benefit you? What do you want to sell to your clients? And then there's some products that we bring in that work and then that they don't work. So there's a lot that goes into it. So we are getting direct information. Hey, you like this? You don't like this. All right, well, let me bring in a little bit for him, but what do you like? Okay,
Yeah.
you like this? Let me bring that in. Hey, you like this? Well, that's not really in line with who we are. We don't believe in that. That shirt's made out of all plastic, so we don't
Yep.
even carry that.
Yep.
So there was actually a brand of sport coats that we sold. The rep was great, but the product, I like the product design wise, but the construction was all fused. So the garments were, the jackets were, $400 to $700, and our sell-throughs were amazing. So if you're in retail, you understand your sell-through, like that's the most important thing. But I just could never get on. I could never support something being fused.
You
So I
felt
just
icky
said,
about it. Yeah.
I did, and I'm like, listen, I just can't. I can't do this. And he goes, okay, if you want to do only canvas or full canvas, do it. And it's being, unapologetic.
Yeah.
And so being a retailer like us, we're the ones who are going to market and figuring out what people like, what we don't like, but also standing on who we are, because other shops are doing that and they all have different point of views and point of sales. And so I've been here for 8 years. Patrick's been here for 3 years. Yeah, 3 years and some change. Wally, my business partner and the shop owner, has been here since he was 17, and he's about 72. So the shop opened in 70. He started here in 72. So
Eh,
he's seen it all.
For sure. Oh, the 70s
So,
for sure. 80s, 90s.
absolutely. Yeah. So all of that being said, why it's important, man, I can go, can you tell I'm in sales? I can talk a lot.
Yeah.
You can. So for the young men, I mean, I really do want you to listen here, is that when you're going to a reputable man shop, I mean, use the tools to find the right places, look at their reviews, trust your friends. Like if there's someone who's well dressed, where do you shop? Or where do you want to shop? Like what do you want to look like, and find the shop that has that look. If you want a more kind of classic and conservative look, try to find a local place that has that, or a shop that can offer that to you. What I tell guys is that suit supply is fine, but you have to kind of graduate from that. A former mentor used to tell me that, it's a good construction, but they're kind of like the same look over and over. And after a while, it's not really dynamic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because when you kind of upgrade and you go to a shop like us, I mean, we do more custom than we have off the rack.
Oh, for
And
sure. Me too.
and so it's a lot more. We can go into depth, because the little expressions like, oh, you want a peak lapel? Okay. Do you want a little belly on the lapel? Do you want a low gorge or a high gorge? Do you want a little bit narrow? Do you want it like wider? Well, it's taking into consideration, da 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 da. A lot of other like big shops, you're going to get these people who are, welcome in. What are you looking for today?
If they
Okay,
want to
I'll be
talk to
here
you.
if you need me. I mean, there have been times where I've walked into, and it's such a sad fall from grace, but like
Yeah.
Neiman Marcus.
Yeah.
Now it may be that I've walked in and people look at me like I'm in the industry. Regardless,
Yeah.
you treat everybody the same, because
For
you never
sure.
know.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and I remember someone walked by and they look at me like this, look me up and down, and they kept walking and they never said anything to me. And I'm just going, you don't know who I could have been. You could have looked at me and said like, oh yeah, I could sniff it out. Okay. But now there's a reason I never go back there. And there's a reason that they've been bought and sold so many times. And when
It's
you
heartbreaking.
it really is. When you read the book, Quest for the Best by Stanley Marcus, he talks about like when they had a buyer who would tell the designers, that pocket is not in the right place. You need to lower it, or I'm not going to buy it, because no one's going to buy it if it's in the wrong spot. They did not accept anything that they did not believe in. And you walk into these places now and it's like, let me just throw something on you. Let me just make a sale.
Everything's polyester. They're trying to stack and attack, and
it's trying to be like streetwear, which again, streetwear is an art form that I don't appreciate.
Yeah,
But I don't know. That's just not that people
bro.
are done with that. The athleisure, the gym wear, like that has its place, but not as a whole.
And that's become a discerning because we are targeted towards young professional men who are high performers. As you become more successful in life, you understand that attention to detail, being on time, all these the attention to detail is really important. And the type of professional, bro, it incenses me when I go to a menswear shop. I'm not going to mention any brands or stores, but you go, like I said, the people don't know what you're talking because, the funny thing is when you work at menswear, you know kind of what to look for when you're talking to a salesperson. Are they a go-getter? Are they friendly? Are they consultative? Are they selling you stuff? Do they not know what you're
talking about or not?
Like, all the little things. And I know I'm being just rushed because I know they got to sell certain product.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, you have no moral fiber. You're literally just trying to hit me with the most expensive thing. You're not really getting to know me because talk about the art of the consultation. Because for me, bro, my consultations take a minimum of an hour. If we're going to talk about your wardrobe, we're going to talk about the weather. We're going to talk about your height. We're going to talk about that bad back you have. We're going to talk about your fitness goals. We're going to talk about colors and do a color analysis. We're going to get into the nitty gritty details where by the time that you're done, it is specific to you and you only. Talk about the quality and how young men should pursue that type of professionalism and that type of attention to detail.
Well, I mean, you're like I said, we live in an image-based society, and between 2 to 30 seconds, someone's already going to have an idea of who you are and what you're about, even when words haven't left your mouth. Yes, that's not fair. That's not right, but that's just the reality of the situation. So the sooner that you can come to understand that and use your clothes as a tool of communication to speak well of you before words even leave your mouth, the better. So learn how to do that properly. Learn who you are and use your clothes to express that. The art of the consultation, I mean, for us, since we have a lot of product here, hey, I'm looking for this. Okay, cool. Is this an event coming up for? No, I just need something in my wardrobe. Okay. So then we have time in case we need to order something or make something. Oh, well, this is for my daughter's wedding. I waited until the last minute, so it's going to be in 2 weeks. Okay, cool. So then I have to narrow it down. So it may not be the absolute best because, I mean, if you're representing your brand, you're always going to find something. You're always going to find some sort of imperfection. I mean, an artist is never pleased in their own work.
For sure.
So as you're trying to present the absolute best details, what may be best for them, they may not care about that. And so you're like, oh, you need a classic tuxedo, but this one, it's made like this, but this one, it's made like this, da 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 da. And you break down all the details, and he just goes, I need a tuxedo. And that's it. So he's just looking for body covering. So take the sale, take your commission, and go on. Yeah. But for the people who need time, there's this one guy. Yeah, this guy and his wife came in actually today.
Yeah.
And they're getting married. And so they showed me a picture of what they wanted. And
very intentional,
which was very helpful. And it gave me an idea. So we're talking through the whole consultation. Spent almost an hour and a half with them, and they ended up not buying anything. And I was perfectly okay with that because here's the reason. Most of the time, if people are coming here, they're mainly going to be buyers because we're not in a strip mall or anything. We are a standalone spot. So when people are coming in,
it's a purpose.
Yeah, it's a purpose. They've sought us out. They're regulars, or they're going, hey, that's interesting. I want to check it out. So they've got a black tie wedding. All the guys are going to be in, tuxedo shirts and everything, cream dinner jackets, white shirts, black pants with cummerbunds. And then he was going to do a black tuxedo, like a cream double-breasted waistcoat, with a matching bow tie and a white shirt.
Yes. Love that.
And so I'm like, I like the look. But I'm going, I don't like the matching vest and bow tie. Let's do a black bow tie. But then I put the black bow tie with it, and I laid it all together, and then ended up not liking it. Well, the conversation of tails came up, and we have a vendor who stocks tails. So I pulled this up and I said, hey, listen, this could actually work for you because, again, we're going to have you stand out. If everyone's black tie, this is your day where you can break the rules. Again, in America, when else are you going to have the opportunity to wear a white tie?
For sure.
So we got to the end of the conversation, and I went, I think we need to put you in some tails. And the guy goes, I really like that look. That's what I want to do. So we're actually going to order him some tails. I don't know if he's going to go with it or not. We may go back to the original tuxedo. But through that conversation, he had a general idea, but he needed to bounce it off a professional. And I said, listen, I think either way you go here, it's going to be fine. But again, like if you're bending the rules, like, their weddings at 6 p.m. and the guys are wearing, cream dinner jackets after 5. So it's technically breaking a rule,
Yeah.
but they want to have something that's different. They want to have something that's ornate, that's beautiful. It's your wedding. Do what you
Yeah.
want. And if
Yeah.
you're going to do what you want and you want to be different, why not wear some tails? I just think that that's so cool. So I really hope he goes for it.
I'm excited. And I really want young men, especially who are striving for excellence, you should demand within yourself the best that you can produce every day.
Mhm.
I don't know why. It's annoying, but I'm getting a call. But you should demand excellence in all that you do, but also from your experiences in life, whether that's your barber, whether that is your what is this? I'm sorry, some random thing. Yeah, whether it's your barber, whether it's your stylist, whatever, demand excellence in all that you do. So you deserve an experience where the person gets to know you, they understands you, they're listening to you. Have you ever? I don't know if you've ever been to the situation where you go to like a hairstylist or barber. They literally, you tell them the photo, you show them the photo, you tell them what you want, and they literally don't do it. Yep. And it's like, I paid, and they're going to be expensive. You pay them 50, 60, 70 bucks for a haircut, and I know you're a very discerning man with your beard and stuff like that, right?
I appreciate it.
And you pay all this money, and you showed them the photo, you did all these things, and you literally don't get what you want. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, I really want young men to say, you need to seek out the spaces like where Austin is, and folks like myself who really take the time to get to know you as a human being, who take their trade and their calling very seriously. And you need to be very discerning in that. If it's go to a better grocery store, go to a farmer's market, go to places where artisanship and craft and attention to detail matters. You don't just go to any dentist. If you went to a dentist and you saw that they were digging up their butt and they wanted to put their hands in your mouth, would you want to go to that dentist? No, because they're going to put your hands in your mouth. But if you go to a dentist's office and the room is nice and it's comfortable and the lighting and the people are nice and they're taking their time, they're asking you, does this hurt? Does this, okay, if that hurts, then you do it in every part of your life. You need to do it with your wardrobe. And I want to preach this message for 2026. The discerning man is the successful man.
Mm-hmm. Well, so another example, I had a guy come in once. He was defending his dissertation. So we got him just a white shirt, navy suit, simple tie, shoes, like the whole thing. And I said, you need a white pocket square. He's like, I don't really want to, I'm not a pocket square guy. I go, you need a white pocket square. And I'm going to tell you why. He goes, I said, so when you were defending this dissertation, you believed in it, right? Yeah. And you wanted to make sure everything that you said made sense, right? Yeah. You wanted to make sure that everything that you said was grammatically correct. Spacing was correct. You like every little jot and tittle, every little thing made sense, right? Yeah. Your clothes need to reflect that. But simply putting the pocket square into your pocket, your chest pocket, it's showing that the small details matter because you're dressing for the board and you're saying, hey, listen, you're worth making an effort for. And if these small little details that I'm showing you and out of respect, that's showing you that even within my dissertation that I am telling you that it's important, and I'm telling you that I took the time, and I'm telling you that I'm someone worth becoming a doctor. He ended up becoming a doctor. I'm not saying the white pocket square gave that to him, but I think it may have helped just a little bit.
For sure.
But just the little things, you're right. Like the little things are really what makes the biggest difference. But a man, the clothes don't make the man, but they make the man look great. But a man, like if you take away the clothing, who is the man? My father raised me to be a man of honor, man of valor, man of character, but most importantly, a man of God. So those are core values and standards that I hold myself to. I don't want to even say like, well, I'm not perfect at it because perfection isn't something to be attained nor reached, but I'm not the best example of that all the time. But when I'm humbled and reminded, hey, you're not holding yourself to that standard. You're not somebody who's like, you say you're this, but you're really this. And I'm like, that's not what I want to be remembered as. I mean, my son's going to be here within a month. I want him to look up to me and say like, I want to be like my dad. I don't want to get to a point where he would ever look at me and go, like, my dad was my biggest enemy. My dad was someone I never want to be like. I want to be somebody that's not like my dad. Those are things I don't want to hold myself to. So if you hold yourself to those standards, that's going to reflect in who you are. Because you can be really well dressed and you can be a piece of crap.
Oh,
And you
for
can
sure.
also be, a dirty, stingy, mine worker and be the best quality man possible. And it's not about the clothes that changes that. So I know those are kind of extreme examples,
No, I
but
agree with you.
that just goes to show it's not just the clothes itself. If you think that simply wearing clothes is going to change your life, you're going to be massively disappointed.
And it should tie your life together. I'll tell you, I'll give this to the young guys who are listening. You need to have a good doctor. Get checked up. Make sure you taking care of your health.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a good barber, a good tailor, a good dentist, a good a good mechanic, and you have to have
I'd even say a good butcher.
A good butcher. Seriously.
Yeah.
In 2026, man, you have to have we call it 360 of excellence, 365 excellence, right? In all these different parts of your life, you need to have these type of experts that you go to. When there's and all the best people. Tom Brady wants to be the greatest quarterback in the world. Best believe in the offseason, he's working with his past coach. I think Tom House was his guy who taught him how to his mechanics, his biomechanics. He broke it down so that Tom Brady could go from that last round draft pick to the scrawny guy that could barely run a 5'1" to the greatest quarterback in the history of NFL. He has experts. And if you're a young man who wants to be a high-performing professional, you need to go to your experts, your dentist, your mechanic, your clothing guy, and understand that there are people in this world that will make your journey so much more successful if you go to them. You do not know everything. I don't know everything. I might go to Austin with certain things and say, hey, man, I'm dealing with this guy from Texas. I need what's kind of a Texas look or something like that. I may do my research, but he's a real Texan. So why not go to the guy who's really from Texas, right? So in 365 and excellence in all parts of your life. Optometrist, get your eyewear contacts. I have a glasses guy. Take care of yourself in those ways. As we round third base and we finish up this, man, what would you want a young man who's getting successful? He can afford what we do. He wants to continue to work on his develop himself professionally and everything else. What are some words that you want to give him as he pursues dressing with excellence? Your final words here.
I've asked myself that, and I made a post about it recently. So, I did it wasn't a conversation that I had, but it was a conversation that I made up that hopefully brought a good point. Was like, Austin, why are you so focused on this dressing with excellence thing with clothes? Like, what's the big deal on that? Who are you doing it for? And then I showed a picture of me when I was younger. Yeah. And I said, I'm doing it for him because if I had the chance to go back in time and have him look up to me, what would he say? What would he believe? And we need to raise and be the change that we want to see, because we're not going to see it from other people. We're not going to see it by just being keyboard warriors. You're going to do that by how you interact with people. My favorite coffee shop is Inclusion down here at Arlington, Texas. If you're in the area, go get it. Ask for a Corbano. They're fantastic.
Okay, when I come and visit you, we'll get one.
It's on me. So when I go in there, I try to remember everybody's name. I try check in. How are you doing? And what's going on? How's your life going? And it's not about just like, oh, be a bit of kindness. It's just I'm holding myself to the standard all the time. That's not me out in public. That's me behind closed doors. That's me interacting with my wife, my future son, my colleagues. Like these are things that you have to hold yourself to a standard. Give yourself grace. Give yourself some damn grace. Pardon my language, but give yourself some damn grace. Okay.
Yeah.
Be patient. Slow things down. This world has gotten too fast.
Yeah.
Because and we don't understand waiting for something. Waiting for that that right woman to come in your life. Waiting for that job opportunity to come. Waiting for all the effort that you've put into building your business. Whatever that is, it takes a long time. And for example, Patrick, when he started working with us, building his book of clientele, we said it's going to take a long time, and however long you just thought it was going to take, it's going to take longer. And he's getting to the point where he's just absolutely killing it. Yeah. But it was about the same time. It took about 2.5 years of,
yes, for sure.
Hey, I'm dealing with this person. Hey, I'm trying to sell this product. Hey, that didn't work. And it's just a lot of trial and error. Get used to failure and learn from it. And failure is not necessarily a bad thing. Failure is a lesson that we don't teach. might as well fail forward. Might as
Yes,
well fail and have some progress. Might as well fail and just keep going and not give up, because what else are you going to do? You're going to sit there and rot away? How's that going to work for you? How has that worked out for anybody? That's going to teach you resilience. That's going to teach you, we're both men of faith, and James, it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you consider trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance.
for sure.
And a man who is worth his salt in anything is a man who perseveres and is patient. And this pregnancy has taught me so much. The Lord has been gracious. He's been so kind, but it's taught me and it's helped me become the man that the Lord needs me to be, but not necessarily the man I want to be, because there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end it leads to destruction. And
Yes.
He's like, this is what I have you. I'm taking you out of something that you thought was right to where you need to be, and is so much better, because it's for my plan and it's for my glory. So what I would just tell men is, give yourself grace, be confident, and try something and do something weird, and figure out who you are and what you're about. Find people who are in line with your goals. And if that's me, I would love to be able to help you out in any way that I can. That's what the soul man here, whatever that would be, do what you can to find the man that you truly are. Don't play a character, because if you're playing dress up, that's no different than you wearing a Superman or a Spider-Man costume. Just because you wear those things doesn't mean you can, leap tall buildings in one single bound, or, shoot webbing out of your hands.
Yeah.
Okay. You're just wearing a costume. Don't do that.
I love that. And I'll leave you gentlemen off with this. And I posted this on my shorts. When you look in the mirror, what you can achieve. Deep down, every man knows deep down inside of himself if he's truly living up to the best that he possibly can be. And do not look into that mirror and lie to yourself. You know what you need to do, and you have to do it. Life, the blessing of life, the opportunity to be on this planet at this time, in this moment, do not take it for granted, because many people have gone and left the earth way before us. So you have the opportunity, and it's up to you to do that. And I really want to encourage young men to have that mentality where, for me, I've worked at so many places. I've lived in so many cities. I never thought I would move from where I grew up. But everywhere that you leave, you need to have learned something. You literally need to have learned something. And if you leave
it better than when you found it.
For sure, man. So thanks so much, Austin, for coming on. Where can people follow you, support you, come shop with you, kind of give them the breakdown? And I'll put it in the bio so they can click and support you as well and follow you.
I appreciate it. Well, my page is Gentleman's Avenue on Instagram, YouTube, Gentleman's Avenue on Instagram and TikTok. Gentleman's, I think it's _AVE on YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn, if anyone really uses that. But like I said, I'm over here at the Man Shop in Arlington, Texas. I'd love the opportunity to show you around. I think you'd like what we have here, and love the opportunity to earn your business. And I appreciate the shout out, man.
For sure, man. On this podcast, we want to give you the best of the best. Literally, Austin is one of I would say globally, one of the tastemakers. He's a man of faith, a man of quality. And I will never bring on this podcast a person that I cannot certify. And he's a certified gentleman. So folks, thanks for coming on today.